in episode 5, another really cool thing that happens is Shield Sword sends in a drone, and they start communicating with Wanda. But then the fucking sleazy director dude who's running the show, like the guy who's he's evil. He had a missile attached to it apparently.
Yeah.
And he tries to fire it at her, and then it kind of like the whole broadcast that Darcy's watching, it goes fucking white screen, like black and white screen. And then Wanda, in her anger, at like the pretty much the end of the episode, she comes out of the fucking Westview, like she walks out of the portal. She casually walks out. She walks out of the portal casually, and they already showed you how hard it is to even like try to get in there. She walks out, and she's angry, and she has the fucking drone in her hand, and it's like glowing with red energy, her Scarlet Witch energy and shit. And she's like, "Is this yours?" And she fucking throws it back at them, and then they all point their guns at her. And she fucking quickly does a little spell that has them all turn their guns on the director, like immediately. And I was like, yo, she is ridiculous. Like, and it always reminds me too, her power. Because a lot of people say like, oh, when she was in the moment with Thanos and she kind of like let herself loose, and he ended up getting the Mind Stone out of Vision's head, and then like that, that was the last stone he got, right? And then he snaps. It's really like, why didn't she's so powerful in Endgame, like she had him completely, he couldn't do anything, so why didn't she do that type of thing? But her power is inconsistent, and I think this is true even in the comics from what I understand. It's like really emotion based, like the way the strength of her power is very based in emotion. So on one hand it's like, well, in Infinity War, she's trying to stop Vision from being killed by Thanos. He reverses time, and she's like, no! And they have like a little energy struggle, but like he wins through it. But at the time, Vision hadn't died yet. So even though her emotion is like, oh, I want to protect him, she hasn't actually experienced the loss yet. Whereas in Endgame,
she hasn't experienced his death. Yeah, in Endgame, like you're about to say, she's already experienced it. Also,
and she's angry.
Something important to note, and I think it's something a lot of like shonen nerds like us maybe take for granted when we're watching things. When she doesn't use her full power and her power is inconsistent and these other things, I think that people need to remember and realize that not everybody is an experienced combat artist. Not everybody is an experienced tactician, fighter in the middle of combat. She is not she's not Goku, she's not Luffy, she's not Gon Freaks, she's not Killua. She's not an experienced warrior. She's not a soldier. So she doesn't have that instinct. She doesn't already have that. She, like you said, it's on top of her power already being emotion based, but on like her application of it is emotion based. She doesn't have trained instincts or tactics or anything.
Right. And I think WandaVision, this show, is a very clear tour of how her power scales and how it works. It's like you get a lot of insight into how it all comes to be, especially towards the end when like they explain, like Agatha explains to her exactly what she is and what kind of magic she uses, and the point is like Wanda didn't even know.
Didn't even realize
So like if you think about it, in Infinity War and Endgame, she doesn't even know what the fuck her power actually is. Like she probably has at that time she has some perception of what it was, and that definitely wouldn't allow her to tap into the full power of it. Also, let's be clear, there wouldn't really be much of a Marvel universe if she was just at full power always, right? So
exactly.
Like, people who are like, well, why didn't she just do Thanos 30 in Infinity? It was like, well, do you want a story or not? Like,
but once again, it's like you said though, she wasn't able to do that yet because they show in whichever episode it is when she finally breaks into like the facility and she finds Vision. Like, she creates this little pocket dimension, this thing that she creates. She does it emotionally and like. It just happens. And once she's in there, you can tell that throughout the episodes, she starts to like remember what's happening, but she doesn't fully understand what she did, how she did it. Like I think even the kids aging up, I think that's partially her. Like I think when he was like, they can do it when they're 10. She turns back around. I think it's partially like in her head, like she's now thinking of them being 10. And that power gets transferred to them, and then they become 10. You know what I mean? Like,
I mean, they're also blatantly created from her.
Yes.
So them being literal spawn of her magic. I mean, they're created from chaos magic, which is again wild. But one of them actually just has a a version of her powers. Like one of them is super
the other
fast.
one has Quicksilver.
Yes, one of them is super quick, which I would be annoyed that that's the one that I got. And the other one can like he can hear people's thoughts, which he can't really control, but he can also just do magic and shit. Like he does all types of magical shit. So I would want to be. I'm like I want to be that one. Like why the fuck did I don't want super speed? Is like okay, this is cute and all, but so yeah, it's really cool. Like the whole aging thing, aging themselves up, and then at the end of the episode, that's when her brother comes and is like, "Oh, Pietro has been recast or whatever."
Yeah.
He's like you said, he's a completely different actor. He's actually an actor from American Horror Story. I really like that guy. I never remember his name, but he's really good in American Horror Story. He's in like almost every season, and he's really cool. But yeah, he comes back, and so in episode 6, like he's fully back. It's like the 1990s, early 2000s now, and this is where it's Halloween and everything. This is also an episode where Vision starts to wander. He tells her like, "Oh, I'm not going to go like trick or treating with you guys. I'm not going to like." She has a plan that she wants to do, and he's like, "I'm not doing that," because the jig is up for him. There was like an email that came through.
I liked this is they kind of first did this here, and they do it again in Loki. I don't remember if they do it in Falcon, but I liked how on Halloween they put them in their old school, like really cheesy actual Marvel outfits.
Yes, I noticed that too. When she came down the steps, she's in this super, super, super original Scarlet Witch costume, which I thought was funny.
And Vision was in like the old, like the comics cheesy Vision look. So
yeah, they look terrible. At one point, the fake Pietro says to him, like, "What are you, a stoplight?"
Yeah, it's bad.
Because he's literally red, yellow, and green. It's really, really ignorant joke. But yeah, Pietro, like, so it's Halloween, and Vision's like, "Oh, I'm not doing anything with you guys. I'm actually on." He lies and says he's like on a neighborhood watch or some shit with the one black neighbor. And then when Wanda talks to the neighbor, he's like, "Oh, he's not working with us. Like, that's not a thing." And then they show Vision again, and Vision's like, he's now wandered off to close to the edge of town, and everyone's frozen for whatever reason. It's like, I guess her glamour, her powers are like not stretching that far.
Yeah, it's like they're put into the realm, but she's not able to actively keep them all going.
Because a lot of the people, especially the ones close to her house, are on a fucking script.
Yep.
Like the one guy's delivering packages constantly, and towards the end of the show, he says something about being tired, and one chick literally starts crying, like she's stuck, she's like still, she cannot move, and she starts like a tear comes down her eye. So it's not even her magic is like torturous.
Oh yeah,
like it's actually
you see when it gets lifted, they're like her pressure is like bearing down on our heads, and you can see the pain, hear the pain.
I don't know at what point, even when I'm rewatching, I was looking at Agnes, obviously, right? Because you know that she's the villain once you've seen it.
Mm-hmm.
But I was trying to go back, and like obviously, yeah, there are definitely some hints, but they do a really good job of concealing it for the most part. It's not really well. Even the main scene, I think, that spoke to me. There's two. So in the same episode, the Halloween one, where Vision's wandering off, he finds Agnes, and she's like in her car at a stop sign, and she's stuck. She's just kind of like frozen, and he speaks to her for a little bit, and she's like, "Oh, I got lost, and I made a wrong turn," and it's like all really weird, right? Yeah. And then he does his little thing where he like frees her mind, and then she starts like freaking out like everyone else. And then she like, he turns that shit off because she's just doing too much. She's like, "You're dead, dead, dead." She says that to him, and it like, that obviously scares him. So he turns her to fuck off. He puts her back to stupid mode. And so there's like that scene that makes you like, oh, okay. And then the main scene, but by this point, this is the same episode where I think that she is revealed to be the villain, is when the little boy who can hear thoughts and stuff, like he can hear other people's minds, he's sitting on a couch with her, like him and his brother, and Agnes is in the middle. And she's like, "Oh, how are you guys feeling here?" or whatever. And the one kid's like, "I really like it here." And she's like, "That's good. I was hoping you would," or whatever. But why is that? And he was like, "It's because it's quiet."
Yep.
And then he looks at her and he says, "You're quiet, Agnes, like inside." And then she like literally jerks back a bit, like kind of scared looking. And then as that happens, the other kid, that's the fast one, he says something to her that diverts her attention. Says like, is our mom going to be okay or something like that? And she's like, oh, of course. And then she looks scared while that's happening, and then it kind of does that. This episode has all the confessionals in it.
Yeah.
So she switches to the confessionals, and she's like, I did bite a kid once and all this other weird shit. But that was the part where you're really, by that point, you're like really side-eyeing her, but it's also the same, like I said, it's the same episode where like they reveal.
She gets revealed. Yep.
Yeah, Agatha All Along, which is one of the best Disney songs, period. That song is
rant, yo.
Yeah, it was so like, because those really cheesy songs and everything. Like, who's responsible for everything wrong? It was Agatha all along.
That shit was great.
That shit was so good.
Dude, the theming of the show, that's why I'm saying, like, they took a big risk, but man, does it pay off. Because those first couple episodes, you're lost, but when you follow all the way through, like, the theming really, really pays off.
Gets
and they do some
good.
cool stuff.
Yeah, the whole thing. The Agatha song I think is really good. I remember when the show was airing, the episode that the Agatha All Along came out, it was trending on social media. Like, it was everywhere.
Yeah.
Everyone was talking about Agatha All Along, and there were a bunch of memes about it. I still see some stray memes about Agatha All Along.
Well, one thing that always makes me laugh is because at the time, I watched WandaVision way late, but I saw this meme everywhere.
Hey guys, if you like this clip, we have full video versions of our podcast episodes available on the IMNerd Patreon, as well as exclusive content.
If you'd like to listen to our full podcast episodes or find us on any other social media platforms, you can do so by clicking the link tree below.